welcome back to my channel. I hope you're doing well. This is episode number 4 of the Globalisation revision series over here on my channel. Today we're going to be looking at TNCs and globalisation, what they are, who they are, the influence they have, and how they go about doing what they do. So if this is your first time here on my channel, hey, I'm Lara. I am currently a second year geography and education student at Liverpool Hope University, and I hope to go on in the future to do some form of geography related thing, whether it's through YouTube, whether it's teaching, whatever. And this is exactly what I was looking for during my A-levels. I really wanted someone to just tell me the whole specification so I could listen to it or have it on in the background or something like that. So I hope this is useful. I hope this is what you're looking for. Please do subscribe down below. I make these videos every single week. Monday 4:30 p.m. I upload them, so please do subscribe down below, give it a like if you enjoyed it, and don't forget to share it with someone who you think might have found it useful. So let's just get straight on into this video, TNCs and globalisation. Transnational corporations. Corporate colonialism? It's common to think of transnational corporations, or TNCs, as a recent phenomenon. However, in the 18th and 19th centuries, a large part of India was controlled by the East Indian Company from its headquarters in London. The company controlled trade routes and ruled 20% of the world's population. TNCs are a vital player in globalisation. Each of the 2015 top 10 TNCs earned more revenue in 1 year than the GDP of some countries. In 2016, there were 60,000 TNCs. The top 100 employed just 1% of the global workforce and accounted for 25% of the world's economic activity. These companies, such as Walmart stores, Sinopec, BP, Volkswagen, Toyota, Glencore, which is a mining company. However, a new world order is emerging. In 2006, 6 of the top 10 TNCs were based in the USA. By 2015, only 2 of the top 10 TNCs were American, Walmart and ExxonMobil, and 3 Chinese TNCs had overtaken Ford, General Motors and ConocoPhillips. A corporation, just to define it, is a business which exists separately from its owners. Its owners are shareholders who mostly appoint directors to run the business. So transnational corporations, they have a business but the owners aren't really involved. They appoint people to kind of get things done. And transnational, international, global, essentially. TNCs and global production. TNCs are vital for the spread of globalisation because their expansion involves the free flow of capital, labour, goods and services. 3 factors have led to this: motive, means and mobility. Let's talk about motive. Under capitalism, there is one motive: profit. Those companies become dominant through controlling and minimising their costs, such as raw materials and labour, increasing their revenues and expanding their markets, and merging with or taking over their competitors. And corporations manage this through achieving economies of scale by expanding their capacity, such as Amazon, warehouse size and Maersk in ship size, in order to reduce their unit costs. They buy in bulk, essentially. They develop new markets. New markets are essential and they depend on a creative design product and product desirability. This process can involve expanding the market to new customers or creating frequently updated models that existing customers want to buy, such as mobiles and computer software. They also use horizontal integration, in which a company expands at one level in the production process. For example, Apple acquired eMagic and Logic Pro for music downloading technologies to help expand its services. As well as horizontal integration, they also use vertical integration. Vertical integration, in which a company controls and owns every stage of production, from exploration to sales. The US oil giant ExxonMobil owns and controls oil wells, tankers, refineries and petrol stations. They also diversify their product range. Many companies expand their product range in order to future-proof their sales. If one product fails, another will succeed. The second thing we're going to talk about is means, how they go about doing it. None of the motives could become a reality without means. Banking and the free flow of capital around the world are the mechanisms for company growth. Global, relatively unrestricted flows of finance connect banks, businesses and countries in various webs. These flows between countries are variable from year to year over the medium term. For example, they slowed during the 2008 financial crash when many businesses reduced their levels of investment but had largely recovered by 2014. And over the longer term, although the USA is a constant player, in recent years, top 10 countries, both investing and receiving FDI, foreign direct investment, we talk a lot about that in last week's video, from overseas have changed. Some countries that received FDI in the 1980s and the 1990s are now providers of foreign direct investment to others. A kind of reverse colonialism has happened. Hong Kong, Singapore, China, South Korea, Malaysia, India and Brazil are now established high or middle income countries, and they are all net providers for overseas investment. For example, in 2015 there were over 800 Indian-owned businesses in the UK, employing more than 110,000 people. Russia invested $87 billion overseas in 2013. And China has brought Japanese household brands and is investing heavily in infrastructure in Africa, as well as in the UK, where it already owns several well-known brands such as Pizza Express. And then mobility. Mobility has been fundamental to the spread of globalisation. This includes faster and cheaper transport, such as the use of the ever larger container ships, rapid communication systems using fibre optics, satellite and digital technology, new production technology such as just-in-time and flexible production systems. Just-in-time is the time gap between production and delivery to the customer is sharply reduced, cutting warehouse costs and storage costs. So it's virtually made when the customer orders it, so they're not having to pay for massive warehouse costs. Just-in-time provides cheaper products and a fast turnaround for orders and delivery. And global production networks, which link sources of raw materials, finance, manufacturing, markets and sales. They are run from company headquarters, almost always in high-income countries. However, mobility flows mean that production and source of materials can be flexible and can lead to controversial decision making. Before we carry on, I'm going to touch on 3 key terms for you. The new economy. This is where GDP is earned more through expertise and creativity in services such as finance, media, law, technology and management than from the manufacture of goods. This is also known as the knowledge economy, which we're going to talk about in a few weeks' time when we get to the regeneration section. The second one is offshoring. This is when a company does work overseas, either itself or using another company. And then outsourcing, when work is contracted out to another company. It's often known as offshoring when that company is overseas. So offshoring is where a company does work overseas itself, and outsourcing is getting someone else to do the work for you. The big brands. Some TNC brands really influence our lives. These days, Disney is not just about theme parks and films, it is a globally recognised brand. In the Forbes list of global top brands in 2016, Disney ranked 11th and is easily one of the world's largest leisure brands. In 2014, its turnover or revenue was $48.8 billion. It employs 180,000 workers of its own, as well as having 40,000 suppliers in 70 countries. From a small animation studio in California in the 1950s, Disney has expanded rapidly to take advantage of the media and technology revolution to become a truly global company. The Walt Disney Company is involved in many global activities, such as over 250 linked satellite and cable TV companies, 6 film and TV production distribution companies such as Pixar and Lucasfilm, which makes the Star Wars films, 12 publishing companies, 15 magazines and newspapers, 728 shops worldwide, plus galleries and toy companies, 5 record labels and music publishing companies, 2 theatrical production companies, 14 theme parks and resorts and a cruise line, sports franchises and teams, plus the sports broadcaster ESPN, multimedia, producing CD-ROMs, e-games and infotainment, and property development and human resources agencies. New economies, new heroes. Disney is typical of the new economy, where ideas are as important as goods. Disney's ideas originate from the USA, but its merchandise is produced overseas. Merchandise alone earns Disney $37 billion a year. Between 2013 and 2015, one film alone, Frozen of course, earned the company almost $2 billion US. For Disney, the company can wait to judge the success of a venture before investing in its merchandise. It uses overseas manufacturers, called offshoring and outsourcing, which we touched on earlier, and demands quick delivery times. This avoids having to operate its own expensive production lines. However, outsourcing is not problem-free. Overseas workers often earn low wages, such as in Vietnam. Overseas factories also have used toxic substances banned in the USA. For example, between 2007 and 2013, some toys manufactured in China had to be recalled from their shops because of unsafe levels of toxic lead in their paint. TNCs, like Disney, are aware of the poor publicity that can result from such production methods, so they increasingly monitor their supplies. Cultural globalisation and globalisation. Is the world becoming Disneyified? Disney owns 40 Spanish-speaking radio stations, together with a foreign language television channels and a Chinese radio station in Hong Kong. It also supplies reading materials to help teach English in Chinese and African schools. It was one of the first global TNCs to glocalise by tailoring its products to specific market areas. For example, Mulan marked a decision to enter the Chinese market. The Hunchback of Notre Dame was relaunched to rebrand Disneyland Paris, and The Lion King was aimed at the African market, Aladdin at the Middle East, and Rescuers Down Under and Finding Nemo at Australia. Disney's influence now spreads widely. Retail and leisure locations all over the world are becoming clones of Disneyland, merging consumerism, popular culture and entertainment. Globalisation, I know I've very briefly touched over that. It's when a company restyles its products to suit the local tastes. Coca-Cola do it as well, with different tastes for different countries. The Disneyfication process. Influences on urban planning and cloned towns. Shopping malls like Disneyland on suburban, out-of-town developments. There are Disney-themed fast food outlets, crowd monitoring with CCTV cameras, and resort tourism with everything on site. The media influences. Disney own 24-hour TV channels in North Africa, the Middle East, Europe, Australia, Malaysia and Cuba. Disney also owns shares in European and Brazilian commercial TV channels. Chinese state TV uses Disney's ESPN for sports coverage, and internet and iPod services for TV and film downloads. How does Disney influence governments? The US government enforces copyright for US companies like Disney. The French government paid $2 billion towards Euro Disney's construction, providing 30,000 jobs. And the Hong Kong and Tokyo governments paid $1 billion toward their respective Disneylands. Disney has a massive influence, and it is one of the world's most recognised TNCs, but also they focus on the local, so as much as it's a globalised company, they also have a lot of influence either on government or through globalisation. And that is the end of episode 4. I hope you learned something. I hope it was interesting for you. I really like this section, possibly one of my favourites. I love human geography through and through. So yeah, I hope you learned something. I hope you enjoyed. Please do subscribe down below. Don't forget to share this with your friend or your teacher, or if you're a teacher, share it with your students. I really hope they love it. But yeah, I hope you enjoyed. I hope you learned something, and I will see you same time, same place next week, Monday 4:30 p.m. for episode number 5, which we will be looking at switched on and switched off countries. So see you soon. Bye guys.